And hello, everyone. Welcome to our December Burlington Advisory Committee on Accessibility. I'm Nate Bizio. I'm going to give you a warning ahead of time. I'm very hoarse. I'm getting over some walking pneumonia, or I like to call it rolling pneumonia. So I sound worse than I actually feel, but it's kind of hard for me to talk a little bit. So if everybody knows I do a lot of talking, so it's never fun. Yeah, no problem, no problem. So we can get started. There are a couple of new faces, or one new face here, and Karen, who was at our last meeting, is also here. So we are going to go around and do introductions. Again, Nate Bizio, chair of the committee, and I also work for the Vermont Center for Independent Living in the Burlington office. And next up, we will do Ethan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ethan Fellows. I'm a community outreach coordinator here at CEDO, and I provide administrative support for this committee.
Amber.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Fulcher. I use she, her pronouns. I am the ADA 504 coordinator for the University of Vermont.
Laura.
I am Laura Wheelock.
Just Laura.
Echo.
All right, I can go first, and then the other Laura can chime in. So Laura Wheelock, Burlington Public Works.
Vanessa.
Sorry, my internet just cut out. Can folks hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi, everybody. Vanessa Santos Eugenio. I use she, her pronouns. I work for the City of Burlington in the Human Resources Department, serving as our Talent Development and Diversity Manager.
Laura.
Hello, my name is Laura Sickle. I work for the Department of Disability, Aging, and Independent Living as the Director of Deaf, Hard of Hearing, Deaf, Blind, Services. Nate, I have a question for you. You emailed us a while ago the minutes and the agenda. For whatever reason, I haven't been able to open them.
Oh, really? I think if Ethan, can you send the link to the minutes of last meeting? I could try sending them again. I just haven't opened. I am going to post up the minutes here in a second. Also. So those are our regular, and now to get some of the new people coming in. So Karen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Downey. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an occupational therapist, recently retired from the Burlington School District. I also have my assistive technology certification, and I'm also a resident of Burlington.
And finally, Allie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Allie Fuddy. I can come on camera for a second so you can see that I do have a face. There I am. Hi, I'm Allie. I am a Burlington resident homeowner here. I work for the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And I'm a teacher of the visually impaired, certified orientation mobility instructor, and certified assistive technology instructional specialist for people with visual impairments. And I also am visually impaired myself. So maybe my camera angle is not that great, but you'll have to let me know. And I'm here with my 1-year-old Finley, kind of up and down, on and off the floor, keeping her entertained while we talk. So I appreciate everybody being flexible about that.
No problem. Thank you very much for being here, Allie. Okay, so I'm going to show the agenda really quick. I could read off the points here. I was going to read down the points and weekend. If anybody has anything they would like to add to the agenda as we're doing it, please feel free. We just did introductions, news and updates, outreach and promotion, future trainings and other potential use, of BACA funds, BACA involvement in new construction projects, and other business. So I guess we'll start first with news and updates. I guess I have two things to share. We was supposed to speak at the Ward 3-4, was it NDA, on the 8th. I contacted them. I looked at my schedule with this being just before the holidays, and I just punted. I said, can we do this in January or February? Just time to put together a cohesive presentation and slideshow that we can review. So I let them know ahead of time of that to put something a little bit better, because I didn't know about the presentation until like a week and a half beforehand and what it entailed. So I thought it would really be better to just kind of put something to better. And so I'm in the process of putting a presentation back together to present to that group. And that the next one is they're going to be letting me know. Now that I know, that I'm definitely going to be on the agenda, hopefully I'll have something prepared. The second part was a couple of weeks ago. What was it, a week ago or a couple of weeks ago? I know Karen was there. We attended a meeting on the design of Burlington High School, of the new Burlington High School, where they presented it to assess the accessibility. It really consisted of parents of students with disabilities and stakeholders talking with the architects about the plans, where they showed us the plan. I I wouldn't know how I would describe the meeting. I guess kind of frustrating, in the sense that Karen, you were there, you could go in onto it. They discussed what the plans were, and I'm sure they will meet every ADA technicality and every, legal part, but a lot of what they brought up didn't give the feel of inclusiveness for students with disabilities. One example is that one of the main entrances is you go in and the first thing you see is a huge flight of stairs, just a huge flight of stairs right at the entrance. And now if you go into another entrance to the back, you can see the elevator. But I think that was something where a lot of the parents with children with mobility issues felt that would kind of be a so it was a discussion, but it was almost like a little too late. They wrote down our suggestions, they thought about some things, but it felt like this far in the game, not much could have been done about it. It really felt like the feedback should have gotten sooner. That was my impression of it. There were questions, we brought up points to do about it. And then we got a reply. Karen, you were at the meeting. Do you want to bring up any points too?
Sure. I thought it was a really good group of people that attended the meeting. I was happy to see one of our Burlington High School graduates who has since become a very successful artist, and she's in her mid to late 20s. She was there. I was happy to see a number of the parents who presently have children in the district, and also the occupational therapists from Burlington High School, Burlington School District, as well as the physical therapists were there at the meeting. I agree with you, Nate. The whole discussion around the main atrium and the staircase. I'm feeling like this may not be the end of the conversation, because I know there are additional emails being sent to Victor Pruzak, who is our Burlington School District City liaison, and Victor is in the administration in the Burlington schools. So, the whole issue was, can we have an elevator that is more centrally located when you enter the south entrance of the new building? Could we have a spiral ramp? We called it the Guggenheim ramp instead of this staircase. So there were, specific discussions around that. The rest of the building, I actually was pleased to see a lot of the features. And we spent time talking about accessible seating in the auditorium, accessible seating in the gym, looking at accessible bathrooms throughout the whole building, having on each floor a bathroom with an adult-sized changing area. So there were pieces that were really positive. You know, having a variety of workstations in the science labs for people at various levels. But that center atrium is still an issue.
Yeah, I was probably being a little more negative down there. They also had been planning to set up several sensory friendly rooms and good places. So they did take a lot, but I think, you know, one thing the parents were obviously, you know, not thrilled about was this central atrium, and it is on the, and thank you for, it is on the first floor. So if you go into the other entrance, you see the elevator first, but it is like this grand, you know, almost like you enter in an Opry and there's this big set of stairs going in. But it was a productive meeting. You know, there were people there. There was a group of people there. You know, kind of tried to count this committee to try to get involved, invite some people there to come on to these meetings so it can be shared. I don't think there was a school board member there, which again, I also think it would be good to get a school board member to come to these meetings as well to kind of get the feedback of that. Because again, I think Burlington is really doing all the right steps to follow the ADA, but there also wasn't a lot of the other feedback we gave was there weren't asking any feedback from the students with disabilities directly, like they were getting their feedback. So another thing is like, how about you ask the students what they're looking for and maybe some inclusiveness from them to get them participate. And I know it's not an easy process, and things are obviously, you know, there's a tight timeline for these and stuff like that, and no process is going to be perfect, but there was just a couple things. But yeah, Karen was right. Overall, they did a pretty, you know, some of the other aspects of it, accessibility wise, were pretty good. So anybody have any questions or any follow-ups or anything about that? No. Okay. So I don't know if anybody has any.
Sorry, this is Allie. Could I just ask a really quick question? I get unmuted quickly enough. I'm just curious about the location of special education rooms in relationship to other areas of the school. Just because something that I go to a lot of high schools across the state, and something that I see that's a little bit of a bummer is that often rooms that where students are receiving special education services are like very separated from you know, where students might be accessing gen ed curriculum. So, you know, you might have a student with a mobility impairment or visual impairment traveling, you know, having to go like a 10-minute walk between where they might go to their math class and then over to back where the special education classroom was. So just curious about that, if that had come up at all.
I can speak to that, Allie. Actually, in the new building, there's two primary areas that can be used for functional life skills, and they are on the first floor on the east side in the academic wing. So they are on the first floor. They're very close to an elevator. The other academic classes will be on the second, third, and fourth floor, right above them. Both of these functional spaces, and I'll call them classrooms, they include an apartment-like setting, accessible kitchen, accessible bathroom, as well as classroom space. So this is going to really be amazing. This is, I've traveled to many high schools in Vermont, and I've worked in many high schools with the I-team out of UVM. So that's a plus. It's a plus that the elevator is located right there at the end of that wing. The other piece is for students that actually don't need the functional life skills piece of the curriculum, that are more in a total academic program. There are spaces on the second, third, and fourth floor that can be used for individual spaces for students. And I know I've worked with students with with visual impairment who have a lot of equipment, and their computers need to be set up in a space that's easily accessible to their classrooms. So I'm hopeful that some of these other individual spaces that are up on the second, third, and fourth floor will serve those students' needs. So it's a combination. It's not like the old high school where you had to travel through the entire building to get up to the F building on the almost the top floor for the functional space, functional classroom space. So it is better in that it's closer and accessible by elevator.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thanks for
Yeah,
that. Because definitely there's nothing worse than being like showing up at a school and then being like, oh yeah, it's a 10-minute walk down to the basement to see your student. And it's like, well, how's
Right.
my student getting up to their classes
Right.
then? But thank you.
And
Yeah,
I'm
what I-
happy with this the functional spaces are definitely built into the high school. And with the new rule change in special education to really appreciate functional skills, putting it back into the evaluation process for special ed, I'm really happy they have that.
Yeah, what I found was just what Karen says. There also was like there were multiple rooms. They were spread out. There wasn't just one. You know, my wife is a special educator at South Burlington High School. And they basically have a little tiny space in their room that they basically do all their living skills out of. So it was spread out. It was integrated. So that was really well done. And also, you know, they're working on making some of the other spaces, like their science labs, working to make tables and stuff that are adjustable and integrated for people who might have mobility devices, and some of the issues like that. They, you know, for their science labs, that was still a work in progress because they don't really try to figure out what to do with like lab equipment and those tables with all the gases, you know, whatever the stuff. But they were working on that, so they definitely had that a conscious mind. Laura, you have your hand up?
Yes. Yes. So I'm wondering, is it too late to provide feedback about the design for the new high school? Because my concern is, a while ago, a speech language pathologist, I don't remember the name, was asking me to let me know that Citizen County used up COVID fund to have hearing induction loop systems installed in all of the schools throughout Citizen County. And in my mind, but she was asking for additional funding of $50,000 to $60,000 to do the remaining schools that they didn't do. So in my mind, I'm like, if you're building a new school, which school did you install the hearing induction loop and wasted the COVID fund? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to think. And then the other thing is, like, I would love to see if the school could incorporate like a reader board or a SMS system, or even like an emergency notification where just at the same level for people who can't hear, because oftentimes people think the buddy system is efficient. But you know how it is, when there's a school shooting, when there's a fire drill, you're not thinking about anybody but yourself, because the adrenaline rush. So it's unreliable, and I know from firsthand experience being in school over the years, and even in the workplace over the years, no one ever think about me, they always leave me behind. So I'm just kind of wondering, I mean, I know the fire alarm light strobe is automatic. It's part of the universal design, but it's not always effective because, especially if you're looking down or if your eyes go to the monitor and you're not looking at anything else, you know. So, I mean, like, I remember trying to bring the same topic up with my state, with Building of General Services, and I was trying to explain to them that an email notification, anyone can ignore it, because they would treat it like a normal email notification. But if you had like a massive pop-up that just interfered with everything on the computer screen, that would definitely get your attention. The only problem that they were saying was only 60% of state employees have access to a laptop. And what about those 40% that don't? And I thought it doesn't matter. You could be walking by somebody's cubicle and you could see there's a pop-up on everyone's computer. And of course, your first reaction is, I'm going to be nosy and take a look and see what's up. And then that will trigger you to do the next movement of whatever you're going to do.
I can respond to this, Laura. historically, we have had the Red Cat systems in our classrooms in Burlington schools for individuals with some hearing impairment. Every student at the high school has their own device, whether it be a computer or a Chromebook. So, but I think your suggestions are really, really good. They're very specific. Perhaps you could write them down and share them with Nate. And I think Victor at the Burlington School District.
So,
welcomes
yeah,
that input.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is he sent an email to attendees of the meeting that was with some notes of the topics of discussion, and some responded. I would like to send that to this committee as well for you to look at and provide your feedback. That was sent. It was just a notice of the meeting, so everybody can get it. And Laura, hopefully there will be future meetings. One of the things, it was one of those things I thought about as I left the meeting. I'm coming there from somebody in a mobility device, so obviously there were other people who were parents of students with mobility devices. So a lot of discussion was on elevators and stuff like that. So I was leaving. I was kind of like, oh, I wonder about, like I always know about other disabilities, like how is it the accessibility for deaf, hard, and hearing and stuff like that. So I think it'd be great for you to provide your feedback on that. And I will certainly send the notes so that you can provide a point on.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, these suggestions would not be restricted just to people who have hearing loss. I think it would be beneficial for people who have like a listening processing disorder or a short attention span or I mean, and that it wouldn't just benefit the students, but it would also benefit staff. And I'm pretty sure there are staff members who work in the school district who have hearing aids. You can't just be thinking about the students themselves. And if the teachers are the ones that have a hearing loss, they're reliable to make sure the students are safe or, whatever. I mean, again, this has happened to me growing up so many times that I don't even want to admit how many times, And then the other thing is, today, if you look around, I mean, I could be wrong, but when you wear those what do you call them, AirPods, I don't know what they're called. Do you really hear outside of that? I mean, you listen to whatever you listen to, NPR or podcast, but can you hear the fire alarm on top of that? Can you hear the shooting on top of whatever it is you got in the ear? Probably not, because you're in your own little world, your own little bubble. And then the other issue is, how can you distinguish where they're coming from? Like even me, I'm in my cubicle, I can hear, like at work, I hear people walking, but I can't tell if it's from the right or from the left. No idea. So, and if I was alone in the office and someone went in the building and started shooting the place down, I'm vulnerable right there and then because I have no idea which direction they're coming from. There's no light signals to let me know. Even right now, I rely on my Apple Watch. My Apple Watch will have a noise notification. It will vibrate, and I know something's up. But it's accurate. It might tell me there's a cat meowing when I'm not, that there's no cat. So.
Yeah, great points. Great points. But okay, so I'll get that information, everybody, and we can hopefully it'll be the other meeting. Hopefully there'll be another meeting, another thing for feedback to that. Like I said, I was probably down a little too hard on it when I started. I do agree with Karen. There were a lot of good things. I think the feeling that was around the group there is that the meeting came a little bit late in the process, that we could have done this earlier in the process that things were happening. So I think that was some of the question, but overall they're doing some really good things on that. Amber?
Yeah, so on that point, Nate, I mean, is it too late? Did they present this to you all after these decisions have been made and the fundings happened and the plans have been approved, or is there really still time to make some actual structural changes and give input that they can really use?
I think you can still give input, and people definitely should do that now.
Okay.
They also were waiting to make sure they had the money, you know,
Yeah.
the whole bond issue finally did pass.
And
And it passed by 76%, so that was really powerful. A lot of support.
Vanessa asked if they have a timeline. I don't know if they mentioned that. I do. I don't know. I'd also say that there are local legislators like Sarah Cat Carpenter who are really pushing that, you know, and she was also at the meeting, so she was really pushing that these concerns be taken into account and dealt with, and that people get the feedback on that. I don't know about the feedback. I'm trying to look back at the email as what it said. You know, when they're talking about breaking down.
I think because a lot of the actual classroom spaces have not been designed like the science labs, you know, this is in progress. And certainly the people at the last meeting spoke very clearly about the issue of the staircase in the atrium. And, you know, there's definitely comments that keep circulating around that.
Yeah.
Have people actually seen the design?
Yes. And I'm trying to think about if there is a way. I don't know if it's posted on it. You know, he definitely showed the blueprints of the design. If it's posted somewhere.
It's on the Burlington School District website.
Yeah.
And all the levels and where the classrooms are located. And the other issue is the parking is on the north side of the building, uphill. And there will be accessible parking as well as faculty parking, visitor parking, parent parking up there. And then on the lower level, it's more of a bus, city bus drop off. The actual special ed buses that do have accessible wheelchair ramps, they will be coming up to the north entrance of the building, which is the actual second floor entrance. So both entrances are going to be used. And then there's another entrance that's going to the tech school, which is on the first floor at the far western end of the building, which is on the side with the gym and the art classrooms. So the whole tech center is separated from the other aspects, classrooms, etc.
I was going to ask, does anybody know what percentage of design they're at? Just to understand how far in they are, or is that on the drawings?
That has not been, I have not heard a percentage talked about. I have not looked for that on the website, but I believe if you look at the Burlington School District website, you know, there is a line, please send your questions in. So my sense is a lot of it's been looked at and basically set, but there still is other work being done. So I think a question, definitely to the school board, perhaps the chair, Claire Wool, or to Victor Pruzak, or to Tom Flanagan, the superintendent.
Yeah, I am looking through to find. I'll have to look through. I have a slew of emails, but there was some points in the meeting notes that I'd like to bring up to people and also share the link to the design. That we can provide feedback on, and also if you want to send me comments, I can certainly pass them on to Victor in the group. So what I'll do is I'll put together some of the information and pass it on to the committee, and if you want to have comments on the issues that I brought up, you know, they can send them my way and I'll pass them on.
Can I just add to thank everybody that's been involved for the past 15 years on actually getting this new high school. I was on committee number 2 and number 3. There have been 4 committees under 3 superintendents. This has been a long process. Burlington didn't want to deal with it year after year after year. And finally, because of the PCB issue, we had to face it. So that's a celebration.
Any other comments or questions about the school topic? Moving on the agenda, outreach and promotion. So at the meeting, I talked to Ellen, who is the administrator of the Burlington Accessibility Committee Facebook page. Let her know that I invited her to a meeting. She said she might not be able to make the meetings because they don't work for her. But I did tell her that what I will be doing is getting in touch with her and maybe connecting her with Ethan. I might keep you in the loop. Maybe to see what needs to be done to do promotional things, at least letting the public know about, meetings that are being held. And then I guess we need to, I don't know whether we need a discussion about what exactly we want to post on there, because it's usually what's been happening is there's been national news on accessibility issues. We can also just do local stuff. I want it to be, I don't want it to be like, I want it to be controlled and be relevant, but I also don't want to maybe do something that's, outside of what the city of Burlington. That's the other question I have. Does there need to be some kind of city of Burlington oversight to this, what we're posting or not? Because it is a city of Burlington committee. And Vanessa, you're shaking your head. Yep, you're not here.
Yes, like emphatic, yes. I think it's a good idea. And Ethan, not to add more to your plate, but I do see that as being in direct relation to like our public postings that we put on the City of Burlington website. But I think to especially promote our public meetings, right? Making sure that people have easy access. We can send that information through that. I also think there's a unique opportunity to be able to poll the community as well. And some of the tools that Facebook has in it when we're trying to engage the community at large.
Okay. So I'm just trying to think about the best way, because right now Ellen has access to it, and it's just Facebook, which, again, I don't know how big Facebook is now about all its things, but are there other groups of people who we should provide to help do it? I thought Ethan, just because Ethan does administrative stuff, I didn't know if there are other people who should be involved. Within the city. Laura.
I just had a question about the Facebook page. Didn't you email it a while ago that you found out who oversees that page?
Yeah, that was Ellen. Yep.
Okay, so do you plan to add a link on your website to that Facebook page? I don't know. It just feels like I kind of want to make sure that everything we talk about in our meeting is portrayed on Facebook. And I feel like it's not. It's like running its own operation. It's separate. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean,
yeah.
At present, it does run entirely separately. And I think what we're trying to do is to essentially stitch it together so that we do have more of that transparency, because it's not the case right now, which is problematic a bit. And at the same time, the content that they are sharing is wonderful, but it has no connection to us as of now.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of it is national stuff. And, we want to tie it into City of Burlington stuff and local events like Vanessa started. So I did find the name. Her name is Ellen. I always forget her last name because I'm terrible with names. And she
Zeman, Z-E-M-A-N, Zeman.
Yep. And she is a Champlain College. Karen, you're going to know this better. And what is her position?
I can't remember her position at Champlain College, but she's also a parent. Her daughter graduated from BHS, and Ellen has been a strong advocate within the school district for years. Yeah.
Exactly what Vanessa said in her chat room. That's what I mean. I remember when I first joined this group, you were complaining how it's really hard to get people to know about her. And I mean, even Allie, she knew. She only reached out to me because she knows me. And now she's part of our group. I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
The fact is, what did it take to get someone to acknowledge that our group even exists? You really have to navigate the website. And do people have the time to navigate the website? Not necessarily. That's why sometimes social media is a better platform, because it's quick and it's direct. Whatever message you're trying to get out there.
Yeah, and this is Allie. Just like the backwards way I learned about this group, actually, I mean, I've lived in Burlington for 7 years. I'm a person with a disability who works with people with disabilities and wasn't aware of this group. But the reason I became aware of it was because the development director at the Vermont Association for the Blind is working on a project right now with the Burlington Parks Department, kind of like an accessible corridor where they're going to be doing some accessible signage related to the Parks Department and some like tactile maps of some of the features. And somebody brought up to him like, oh, have you heard of the Burlington Accessibility Committee? And he was like, oh no, I never have. And he mentioned it to me and I was like, oh, I haven't either. So again, the only reason I saw like the only reason I figured it out, I didn't know who to contact, but I like looked at the minutes, I found those, and then I saw Laura's name on there and I was like, okay, I know Laura, I'll email her. So it is pretty like back. Yeah, I think there needs to be some more visibility for sure.
So Allie, this is Amber here. What's interesting is actually somebody else, a coworker of mine in like the communications department at UVM, is actually on that committee that I think is working with BABBI, and then I connected her with Nate, and so I think that's how there was like this meshing that happened, right? But I thought it was so interesting that there was this whole project going on, and that we weren't like knowledgeable, right, of this and able to really kind of work together out of the gate. So
yeah, it's a bummer actually, and it was a failure somehow of the system that like that this committee hadn't been involved all the way up until this point with this project that's going to be like hopefully really bring a lot of awareness to accessibility at least on the waterfront.
I have a question. Is Sarah Carpenter the connection with City Council for this meeting?
Yeah, essentially, every time that we have something we want to have championed with the city council, she is very quick to help advocate and tends to be very responsive in our email chains too.
And does this get put on the city council agenda just as a check-in that the accessibility committee has reported to the city council?
No, not that I have observed.
So
something to advocate for.
yeah, so definitely. So I've been
Burlington voters.
Yeah, so I've been part of this committee basically since I started versus somebody coming in, and it has definitely been a committee that has been in flux. When I first started, there were a bunch of people on it. I think it's sometimes had a lack of support and recognition, and then it kind of goes and members leave, members get frustrated, and then can come back. So I kind of call this the fourth rebirth of the committee. I think right now we're having some really good involvement. I really credit Vanessa and Sophie on a lot of this, really kind of bringing attention points, but really with us helping get involved with the Burlington Parks and Recs designs and stuff like that. I think it's allowed us to get some more visibility and with the school. So I'm really hoping that we can turn this, but even now we don't know how to get people appointed. We're going to get the mayor's office to get people officially appointed. We've looked for, until just recently, and it wasn't until we got the support of CEDU to provide us, administrative support and help with these meetings and allow us to really get our foot with. Before we were always kind of like a ragtag group of volunteers. So this is where I'm thinking we can really get our foot in the door and really start presenting stuff like that. So this is where I'm encouraged because it's just been a wave after wave after wave. Sophie.
On that, Nate, I would suggest we put together, it'd probably be a good idea if Catherine was on the call, but it'd be good to put together kind of a memo or an update to the mayor. It's been 6 months since the budget was passed and we received some funding for this again. I think that we start there and then could provide an update to city council. Just go in without any request, just say, this is where we're at. This is, what we've done with the funding so far. I think that would be helpful.
Okay, certainly. I like that idea. To provide that with what we've done. So that we can provide, because you're right, we are at the halfway mark. And that actually led me to the next topic of the agenda was, and we have about 15 minutes left of meeting time here. Future trainings and potential use of BACA funds. we were given a budget. We were, given a budget of $10,000, which, is helping pay for administrative fee and interpreter fees. I'm just wondering what is some things that we can use to help with accessibility. Like, I don't remember who I was talking to. Maybe it might have been Karen, but also just doing handouts that can be put on the way about improving accessibility around the way in Burlington, or even printing out. And I don't even know if this is loud, like City of Burlington stickers that can go on to, one thing I push around, a lot of people don't know about if you have a parking placard, you don't have to pay for parking. So, maybe something it could just be a sticker to put on those things. So if somebody's out of town or somebody doesn't know about it, they're parking and they know, oh, hey, this allows me to park here. So could we use, if we put something together for that, could we use the fundings to pay for those printing and those materials and that promotion? What could it be used for? And I also know that we had talked about doing a training to the community on like ADA 101 or something sometime this spring, to the group of people. So that would be
Maybe
another thing.
ADA
Yeah.
and universal design, both.
Yep. Okay. So I guess my question is when we write the report to the mayor's office to give them a update, maybe we could say, here are some things we'd like to do. And I'm not talking about busting the bank. I'm talking about, can we print up, flyers, pointing out to how to make yourself more accessible or how to keep Burlington accessible, or can we mark ways to put things on parking stickers? Can we use the funds for that? That was my thought. Sophie?
This may be a totally selfish thought, but it may be a good promotional event is when we open the playground at Oakledge.
Yep.
We were just starting to kind of foresee that happening in early summer. It'd be a great thing to support from a logistical side, but also a great opportunity to hand out any information and promote the group, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect thing, and I think we've been circling that before, because that's been a project that's been in the work for a long time, and it's finally getting some good headway. So I do think that's just to be a really good achievement in that. So I agree with that. Okay, so what we could do, yeah. So let's work on this. What we could do is we could discuss a lot of the things that we've done so far. I think putting together a memo to the mayor's office with a progress report about what we're doing, what we've done. I'm happy to get started with that. The break, we have the break. I'm actually off, so BCIL is closed from this Friday through to January 3rd. So I'm going to be out and about, gone. I'll be back. We could try to put something together that maybe we could discuss at the January meeting with the goal of getting something to the mayor on, maybe by the end of January, getting something like that out with the progress and some ideas, and we can work on that. So what I might do is create a working document we can send and add, make comments and add things to, and then we can review it at the January meeting. How does that sound? Yep. Okay.
So
Yeah,
Nate,
go ahead.
yeah, so at that meeting too, would it be possible to have kind of an idea of how much money we would potentially be trying to come up with ideas and what to do with it? Like if we have a budget that we can use for our brainstorming, that'd be helpful.
I don't know where we get it's been in CDU's hands. So where can we get how much has been spent? Which I know we had a budget of $10,000. That's going for mainly interpreter administrative fees. So I don't know what the balances are. So I think if I can be providing some information on who to reach out about that. I don't know what printing fees are for that or how it would work. So if we're doing a training at a Burlington, City of Burlington facility, do we, how does it go into paying the space? We're paying for the space and stuff. How does that?
I mean, my feeling is like, if things are being managed through CEDO, or even if it was like support through HR, we can easily get a hold of, let's say, the Sharon Busher conference space, which is in City Hall.
Okay.
And that would be at no cost if it's under the city's purview, where it would be very costly if it's external.
Yep.
And so I think that would be a way that we can keep the costs minimal. So we're focusing more about how to create access from, you know, an interpretation level or putting posters and signage out there. I think we can find ways to keep the cost low.
Does that answer your question, Amber? Or are we thinking about actual figures?
Yeah, well, so some of the stuff I'm thinking about, you know, as we talk about doing trainings and creating some more like direct outreach, like through this Facebook platform or putting things on websites. I always think about digital accessibility, and I was thinking it'd be great to have some money go toward like some training on how to, you know, accessible social media, or like basic like web accessibility or something for the folks that are going to be putting content out there. Like if we're going to continue to work with this community member to put content out, how do we help support them? You know, so that's what I was thinking about. And if we had some money to hire some folks to do some training, it could you know,
Yeah,
have good payoff down the road.
And I wonder too, because that directly relates to an ongoing conversation that we're having with our innovation technology department, because our website historically has not been very accessible. And so I think that there's a unique opportunity for some partnership there, because it sort of like sets the standard. And then that social media piece, I do know that that's an area that employees are very, very interested in. So even some anecdotal evidence that supports that.
and also going back to the website, I do think one of the steps that I know Scott has mentioned on it is really kind of getting that to be accessible and adding that portal that we had talked about, adding an accessibility part where we can have information about things like that. So that was one thing I know we had discussed. Okay. We are about 8 minutes out. I don't know if Laura.
One of the other things that I noticed as a difference visibility wise from this committee to other committees that the city has is the meetings aren't part of the warned meeting group. And so they don't make it on the city's calendar necessarily in the same way. Which is, you know, a place that a lot of people do find information about the various meetings and agendas.
How do you do that? How do you get on that list?
There's an email listserv that's called like Warned Meetings Group, and that goes to a small group of people within the city. If you ask me to name those people, I can't. I just know that the email exists because I've sent an email to it once. No response, but I know it exists.
And I know this is often also an issue that we have. We're technically not a committee, we're a working group. I have no idea what that means, so we're not appointed, but this has always been something where I have always kind of felt the mayor has kind of been like, okay, you guys are good. You're, you know, we're advising the mayor. We're not really appointing. So I don't even know where that falls under the calendar. We've always been this little guerrilla organization trying to squeeze our way in.
Right. So to that point, I mean, the Bike Walk Committee, while they're kind of a known group that was created, they're an advisory group. And they're on the warned meeting list. The Public Art Committee meeting I was at earlier or early last week or middle of last week was really informal, and they're on the calendar.
Okay, so we should definitely work on getting on that calendar.
Yeah.
And it would just be figuring out who to send that information to. And I also have no idea.
We ask Sarah Carpenter. She may know.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's something we can email her about.
I'm actually sleuthing it right now. I can get you an answer in like 2 minutes.
Okay. While we're waiting, anything else? Anybody else want to bring up to Sophie? I usually have you down for any upcoming parks projects or how things are going. Anything you want to discuss?
Not specifics. I haven't had much luck with the follow-ups on the Oakledge Fitness Station, but I'll gently nudge again
I'll get on Patrick's
Yeah.
case. He's on break right now, so hopefully you should.
Okay.
Patrick and Nancy are UVM professors, so they should.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll get
understand
on
that.
them. They're on break right now, so.
But Karen provided some awesome feedback for the restrooms. We are meeting with the architect soon to review their latest set of drawings, so that's a good thing. And then what was mentioned earlier, we did get a proposal for Penny for Parks for a tactile map at Waterfront Park. So we're in the process of reviewing all the different proposal we've gotten for community requests as part of Penny for Parks. And then we'll be looking at that more in January, but I can provide an update then, hopefully.
And Sophie,
But
thank you so much for including me on some of the emails that have gone out. I've gotten some, I'm in the loop on a lot of the discussion around the restrooms at Oakland.
Great.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. We can only make it better. It's my philosophy.
All righty. And for just those people who don't know, Sophie was talking about proposals for a workout equipment at Oakland's Park, because they're looking to make the equipment more physically accessible to people with mobility devices. So I had given her the name of some people who I work with on the NDA, both the assistive device users and physical therapists, get their feedback, and they haven't responded. So I will get on them to hopefully get some feedback. Okay. We have a few more minutes. I don't want to put pressure on Vanessa or Ethan to play the Jeopardy theme, but if you there was.
I just got the answer
Okay.
about the warned meetings group. So it's pretty easy peasy. Ethan, I'm thinking that's an email that you'll want to copy paste. So Pat Smith, who works in IT, looks like she maintains the list. And this is who I could find of staff members across the city that are on it. I backfilled, like, if I knew their department off the top of my head, but my sense is they're going to be like people who help to re-promote or maybe put a poster or a flyer up about any events that are happening. But that is who I see on the list at present.
So they maintain the public bulletin boards at each different city facility.
So
Yeah,
Joanna's
Nate,
Burlington Parks and Rec.
I believe the way it works is you have to email them the agenda at least 3 days in advance, business days in advance. And I guess when
Okay.
you send us the agenda, you can just copy that group.
Okay.
I think that's how the MPAs do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's true.
Guess that means I need to be a lot more timely in getting those agendas out. Okay, well that's something I can definitely work on doing. All right, so we are about a minute out. Any closing remarks or anything? If not, have a happy holiday and